tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay, and this is a program called
The Wonderful World of Wardini Books.
And as always, it's my pleasure to have in this studio the wonderful Lou from Wardini Books out in Havelock North. How you been going? Good?
Yeah, very well, Ken. Yourself?
Yeah, I can't complain. We were just talking about gardens before we came in here. I like lawns, you don't.
No, because it's a maintenance thing.
You've got to mow them.
Gardening.
Yeah, I'm going to change my lawn over to stones and big pavers.
Concrete.
Thanks to you. I'm going to tell my wife when I get home that you told me.
Yeah, all right.
Three more fabulous books to look at today, and the first one is called Rush Rush.
Rush Rush. It's by Eleanor Daru, and it's illustrated by Jenny Cooper. And years ago, Eleanor Daru wrote these little chapter books, and they were all in verse, rhyming for children. And you probably heard me say this before, getting a rhyme right is really difficult.
Yes, I bet it is.
And she's great at it. She's marvellous. So in this book, which is obviously a picture book for children, she employs all sorts of little tactics to make it just perfect. So we've got a little girl here, and she's just woken up in the morning, and she's like getting ready for the day. And daybreak's waking. There isn't much time in the way that kids just go, "Oh, I'm off to do this right now." So she does. She's chucked on a blanket and some gumboots, and off she goes. And she's out the front door, and she's running through the woods. And it's all just beautiful illustrations, aren't they?
I love it. They are great.
There's movement in there, and there is urgency, and there is joy. The joy of a child in a gumboots with a little dressing gown on, and off she's going. "Where are you going to?" whisper the leaves. Where are my favourite rhymes? "Cut through the fields, scatter the sheep. Where? Yeah. They all bleat."
You'd be a great storyteller, I bet.
Oh, thank you. I like telling stories. And another one that I really like. So she's gone past the eels there, look.
Yeah,
big old eels.
Is it a New Zealand book?
Yeah, very much so. It's got Toy in there somewhere as well. Over the fence and down with a whoosh, onto the track, into the bush. She's whizzing, rustling through ferns. This is my favourite rhyme. "Leap over fish in a dark water dream. Are we nearly there?" chatters the stream.
I love it. I could never think of that.
No. How do I get that to work? Oh, I'm just going to put another a near in. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So off she goes, and she's gone past the Harakiki, and she's gone past the Manuka, which places it firmly here.
Yes, it does.
And she's on to the beach, find the horizon, get ready, set, fly.
Look at that.
It is so full of joy. It doesn't have any issues in it apart from being a kid who likes running around and is possibly going to meet the rest of her family on the beach there because they're flying kites.
Now, you mentioned that word Manuka, which definitely places that book in New Zealand. But I guess that book would translate into any country. You could have that on any shelf, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. And if people don't know what Manuka is or Harakiki, then you just look it up, don't you?
They find out, absolutely. Yeah. No, great book.
It's beautiful.
Next book is all about bad habits. I bet you haven't got any bad habits.
I suspect I have many. Moving on. So this is a young adult novel, and it is firmly in that older young adult. I would put 14 plus, and I'll tell you why as we go. So it's by Flynn Meaney, and it's set in America. It's a girl called Alex, and she is a boarder at a Catholic school.
Great
Catholic boarding
hairstyle
school.
too.
Yeah, very
Look at that.
Yeah, I know. Slightly embarrassing. She's a lot younger than me. She's only about 16, I think, 16 or 17. And she was sent there from San Francisco after her parents split up, and her mum's gone to find herself in ashrams around the world, and her father's a businessman, and she's resentful. She doesn't want to be here in Minnesota where the winters are cold, and so she's doing her best to get kicked out, but her dad bails her out because he's an old boy of the boarding school, so he comes and speaks to Father Hughes, and nod, wink, wink, and Alex gets to stay, but she doesn't want to. So she decides at this very conservative Catholic school that in order to get kicked out, she's going to have to do something quite radical. So she decides she's going to put on a rendition of the vagina monologues, bearing in mind that none of the priests can actually get that word out of their mouths. So she's just one of these really badass characters who's an excellent feminist, very loyal to her one friend, Mary Kate, who is a quiet, staid sort of girl in braids that likes to do her homework. All Mary Kate wants is to get a boyfriend by the time, a very chaste boyfriend by the time the first snow falls, So it really is just about her exploring her rebelliousness and then finding out that maybe she does fit in a little bit where she doesn't think she fits in. So she's teaching everybody all these things in a very loud, rude way. She's very rude. She's quite sexually precocious, which is why I've put it in the higher end of young adult. And then the quieter people with different views suddenly making Alex think, oh yeah, there is a different way. Yeah.
You do need those people, though, don't you, in life? Badass characters, because they make you appreciate either one what you got, or they just sort of they lighten up the world, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and shout about things that need shouting
Yeah,
at, where
absolutely
a lot
right.
of us would just sit there and let it ride.
Yeah. So you read it. What did you give it out of 10?
10 out of 10. It was so joyful, Ken. It was one of those, you get a lot of young adult novels and they're about issues. This is about issues, but it's perfectly told with the joy and energy of teenagers, rather than all this depressing and somebody dies and somebody commits suicide and somebody's
like
sexually assaulted. And it's, and those are issues that face young people, and they do need to know about them and they do need to address them, but this was very refreshing.
That's good. I love it. And who is Maude Dixon?
Who is Maude Dixon? Exactly. Nobody knows. This is a novel, so it's by Alexandra Andrews, and in it, Maude Dixon is a novelist who's written one novel that's just gone completely bonkers in the world. Everybody loved it. And it's more intriguing because nobody really knows who Maude Dixon, the author, is. She's very secretive. So it's only her agent that knows her true identity. And then we have an aspiring author called Florence Darrow, a young woman in her 20s, and she's gone to New York for the big time, and she's got a job as an assistant editor at a publishing house. She's not popular. She's always been a bit of an outcast, an outsider. She's got one friend, her mum, she's been brought up by a single mother who's put everything into this child,
Yeah.
I want you to be a great success. So there's a lot of pressure on her, and it's not, she's trying to get away from that. But she's got a bit of a stalkerish quality to her, old Florence. She sleeps with her boss's boss and then stalks him and his wife, and she ends up getting fired from this job because she's not the powerful one in that relationship. And then she's offered a job as the assistant to Maude Dixon, so she will be the only other person that knows the true identity of this novelist. And she goes to this place in the woods out on the Hudson River, and becomes the assistant to this author. But there's a lot of dramatic irony in this, because we as the reader see that there's something well dodgy going off with Maude Dixon that Florence can't quite see. Florence is not as clever as Florence thinks she is, I don't think.
No.
In that she's like, oh, well, I could assume this identity and I could get this out of it, but something well dodgy about Maude Dixon. So it's quite the intriguing thriller. So they've gone off to Morocco to do research, but I think Maude's got a great agenda going on there that Florence hasn't clicked onto.
And is Maude Dixon a goodie or a baddie?
We don't know.
We have to find out.
We won't know right till the very end.
Who's going to read that book?
Anyone that likes a good psychological thriller, because you're constantly thinking, Florence, I don't know about that, and oh God, Florence, don't do that.
Yeah.
She goes rummaging through people's drawers when they're not in the house, and you're just like, oh my God, what are you doing, woman?
Yeah. Now I see you got a bookmark on there. Does that mean you just started it this morning?
No, I'm that far in.
Yeah,
it's a very quick read. I've only been reading it for a day or two.
Yeah, wow. So it's a page turner.
It really is. Yeah, I'll finish that tonight.
Good on you, Leaf. We need any of these fabulous books. I know you've got 2 stores. Just remind our listeners where they are.
Yep, 16 Tomato Road in Havelock North and 44 Hastings Street in Napier.
7 days a week. Good on you. Yeah. As always, my pleasure. You look after yourself. We'll talk to you same time, same place next week.
Excellent. Thanks, Ken.